You can still buy a house in America for less than a Tesla Model 3, an actual house with a foundation, 4 walls, and plumbing that mostly works. While coastal cities are asking for your firstborn child as a down payment, there are entire states quietly selling homes for the price of a luxury vacation. But what nobody tells you is there's always a catch. Today, we're ranking America's cheapest states with 5 of the absolute worst disaster zones and 6 surprisingly decent bargains based on what actually matters. Whether you can build a life there without your soul slowly withering away. One state on this list has homes cheaper than most people's annual coffee budget. Another offers mansions for the price of a Honda Civic. And trust me, you're not ready for what Kansas brings to this party. So buckle up, because we're about to tour America's clearance section, where every deal comes with more fine print than a pharmaceutical commercial. Dead last, we have Mississippi, the state that's consistently ranked cheapest in America, because apparently rock-bottom housing prices are what happens when an entire economy runs on nostalgia and federal subsidies. Houses average $157,828, which sounds amazing until you realize that's still overpriced for some neighborhoods where the biggest employer is Dollar General. Just imagine you're sitting on a sagging front porch at 10 a.m., sweet tea sweating in the humidity, watching your neighbor drag a broken washing machine across his yard for the 3rd time this month. The air smells like magnolia blossoms and economic desperation. Mississippi's median household income clocks in at a devastating $45,000, dead last nationally, while nearly 19% of residents live below the poverty line. Your cheap house comes with the bonus prize of having no money to actually enjoy living in it. The locals love to wave at strangers, while simultaneously judging you on your license plate. About 20% of residents can't even get basic broadband. It's like buying a mansion on the Titanic. Great deal until you realize the whole thing is sinking. Sure, you get Gulf Coast beaches and Delta blues culture, but you're trading economic opportunity for shrimp po' boys and live music that ends at 9 p.m. because everyone has to get up early for their second job. The 75% homeownership rate is high because when houses cost less than a luxury car, even broke people can technically afford one. Perfect for retirees whose biggest excitement is early bird specials at Cracker Barrel. But anyone under 65 with actual career ambitions should probably keep scrolling. West Virginia offers America's lowest home prices at $129,000, which is basically the economic equivalent of a fire sale while the building burns down around you. No state income tax sounds great until you realize it's because all the jobs left with the coal industry, probably hitching rides on the same trains that used to haul prosperity. Step outside your bargain basement Victorian and breathe in that crisp mountain air. It smells like pine, wood smoke, and the ghosts of better economic times. Your neighbor waves from his perpetually broken down Chevy, while his dog barks at a UPS truck delivering despair. With a median household income of just $52,000 and 14.6% poverty, West Virginia is what happens when an entire state puts all its economic eggs in one basket, then watches that basket get regulated out of existence. The locals have perfected the art of making moonshine jokes while quietly struggling to pay for insulin. They'll give you directions using landmarks that closed in 1987. The Appalachian scenery is genuinely breathtaking, and 80% homeownership means you can definitely buy a house. You just might not be able to find work to pay for groceries to eat in that house. Rural internet is still spotty, which matters when remote work is your only shot at earning a living wage. Perfect for hermits, preppers, and people who think civilization peaked sometime around 1955. Everyone else should probably admire those mountains from a safe distance, like Pennsylvania, where the jobs didn't all move to China. Arkansas brings us houses averaging $170,000 in a state with the second lowest median income in America at $50,500. It's like getting a great deal on a car with no engine. Technically affordable, practically useless for getting anywhere in life. And yes, the irony that Walmart's headquarters couldn't lift the entire state's economy is not lost on anyone, including the locals. Walk through downtown Little Rock, and you'll smell barbecue smoke mixing with that particular southern scent of humidity and unfulfilled potential. Your neighbor will wave enthusiastically while explaining why the Razorbacks are definitely going to the championship this year. The state has Walmart's headquarters in Bentonville and Crystal Bridges Museum, which is nice for the dozen people who can afford culture when they're busy surviving on $50,000 a year. Most of Arkansas is rural farmland where economic opportunity goes to die, and the Delta region makes Mississippi look prosperous. At least Mississippi has casinos. Education and health metrics are terrible. Obesity rates are sky high, and infrastructure crumbles faster than your dreams of small-town charm, while the locals have mastered the art of saying, "Bless your heart." Northwest Arkansas around Fayetteville has some decent amenities and a burgeoning arts scene, mostly funded by Walton family guilt money, trying to prove that they do care about more than quarterly earnings. But unless you're planning to work at Walmart headquarters or sells crafts on Etsy, Arkansas offers very little beyond cheap land and the opportunity to experience true American poverty. The Ozark Mountains are pretty, though, so at least you'll have a nice view while contemplating your life choices and wondering why your GPS keeps trying to route you through Missouri. Oklahoma serves up houses at $171,000 in a state where the weather actively tries to kill you, and the culture makes you wish it would succeed. No state income tax is great, but good luck finding income worth taxing when the economy runs on unreliable oil prices and prayer. You could be standing in a Walmart parking lot at sunset, listening to your neighbor's cousin explain why this tornado season ain't gonna be too bad, while a wall cloud builds on the horizon. The air smells like diesel, barbecue, and that particular scent of impending meteorological doom. The median household income hovers around $53,000, which would be fine if you weren't living in Mother Nature's punching bag. The locals have a supernatural ability to ignore tornado sirens. They measure distance and drive time to the nearest casino and consider 90-degree heat in July not too bad yet. Tornadoes, hailstorms, ice storms, and heat that melts your will to live. Oklahoma has weather that makes you understand why Dorothy wanted to leave so badly. Oklahoma does have aerospace jobs and energy sector employment, plus Tinker Air Force Base provides some stability for folks who enjoy explaining to visitors why their car got dented by tennis ball-sized hail. The wide-open spaces are great if you're into that whole magnificent desolation vibe, but most people prefer their cheap living to come with fewer existential threats from the sky. Alabama prices homes sit at $232,000 on average, which is higher than our previous entries, but still a bargain, considering you get Gulf Coast beaches and a front-row seat to the slow-motion collapse of Southern dignity. The median income around $62K isn't terrible, but 17% poverty and bottom-tier education rankings suggest Alabama is really good at keeping people poor and proud of it. Huntsville has legitimate aerospace and tech growth, which is great for the handful of rocket scientists who want to live surrounded by people who think evolution is just a theory. The Gulf Coast offers beautiful beaches and the kind of relaxed Southern culture that makes you forget about things like social progress and economic mobility. Birmingham and Mobile have urban amenities, plus the charm of cities slowly dying from white flight and industrial decay. Alabama aggressively recruits businesses with tax breaks, which works great until you realize the state's infrastructure and education system can't support modern industry. The warm climate is nice, and zero state income tax for retirees makes it attractive for people whose earning years are behind them. Everyone else gets to experience the joy of living in a state that consistently ranks among America's worst for quality of life while insisting it's actually paradise. Next are the 6 cheap states that are actually worth a second look. Places where low costs don't automatically mean low hopes. Before we dive in, please subscribe and like, because apparently that's how we measure self-worth in 2025. Indiana crashes our top 6 with homes averaging $250,000 in a state that's perfected the art of being forgettable. It's cheaper than most places and more functional than the disaster states below it, which makes it the Honda Civic of American geography. Reliable, boring, and exactly what you settle for when your dreams have been properly managed. Drive through any Indiana town at dusk, and you'll smell charcoal from someone's backyard grill, hear the distant hum of a lawnmower, and see your neighbor in his garage wearing cargo shorts and New Balance sneakers like it's a uniform. The manufacturing and logistics economy provides actual jobs. Indianapolis has grown into a surprisingly decent city, and electricity rates are among the nation's lowest. The flat landscape is perfect for people who find mountains emotionally overwhelming, and the central location puts you within driving distance of more interesting places. The locals have mastered the art of waving at everyone, and they consider traffic jams anything longer than 3 cars waiting at a red light. They'll give you detailed directions to the nearest Culver's and genuinely believe that breaded pork tenderloin sandwiches constitute fine dining. Your neighbor will snow blow your driveway without asking, then spend 20 minutes explaining why the Colts are definitely going to win this year. Brutal winters and crumbling infrastructure remind you that cheap living comes with trade-offs. Potholes here don't just damage your car, they challenge your faith in civil engineering. Rural areas feel like economic sacrifice zones, and the state's middle-of-the-pack rankings on education and health suggest it's perfectly positioned to produce a workforce for jobs that don't exist yet. Great for people who want stability without excitement, close to major cities without actually having to live in them. Unlike Oklahoma, where nature tries to kill you, Indiana just slowly bores you into submission. Tennessee offers homes at $330,000, the priciest on our list, but that's because it's actually functional. No state income tax, Nashville's music industry boom, and Memphis's cultural significance give Tennessee legitimate reasons to exist beyond cheap real estate and federal subsidies. Nashville has become a tech hub disguised as a honky-tonk town, attracting startups and young professionals who want to feel authentic while gentrifying neighborhoods. Chattanooga boasts some of the nation's fastest municipal internet, which is more than most cities can claim. The Great Smoky Mountains provide outdoor recreation for people who need nature to recover from too much country music. Hot, humid summers make you understand why air conditioning was invented, and tornado risks add excitement to your weather app addiction. Sales taxes are high to compensate for no income tax, so you're basically paying the state every time you buy anything instead of once a year. Home prices in Nashville have exploded as everyone discovers that Tennessee exists, making it less of a bargain than it used to be. Still, for a functional southern state with actual economic growth, Tennessee delivers more than it promises. Missouri is a state that proves 2 decent metropolitan areas can carry an entire geographic region with homes prices averaging $257,000. St. Louis and Kansas City provide legitimate economic opportunities, cultural amenities, and the kind of urban infrastructure that makes you forget you're technically in the Midwest. The central location makes Missouri a logistics hub, with highways and airports connecting the country's major economic centers. 2 interstate crossroads mean you're never more than a day's drive from somewhere important. And major universities provide education opportunities beyond learning to tip cattle. Kansas City recently expanded gigabit fiber, making it surprisingly tech-friendly for a place most people associate with barbecue and baseball. Rural Missouri is an economic wasteland, punctuated by meth labs and conspiracy theories, which is why everyone clusters around the 2 cities like survivors around a campfire. Conservative politics might not suit everyone, but at least the cost of living allows you to afford therapy to deal with your political differences. Perfect for people who want city amenities at Midwestern prices. Terrible for anyone who needs to venture beyond the metropolitan bubbles. Nebraska delivers homes at $273,000 in a state that's weaponized competence to become surprisingly livable. Omaha's finance and tech sector, anchored by Berkshire Hathaway and TD Ameritrade, provides legitimate white-collar employment in a state most people assume is entirely agricultural. Low unemployment, high home ownership, and strong education levels make Nebraska the Switzerland of the Great Plains. Neutral, stable, and quietly superior to its neighbors. The University of Nebraska system is well-funded, and growing tech sectors in Omaha attract startups that want to avoid coastal overhead. Property taxes are higher than surrounding states, but overall tax burden remains reasonable for what you get. Winters are brutal enough to filter out anyone who isn't serious about living there, which creates a tight-knit community of people tough enough to survive blizzards. The flat geography and small population can feel isolating, but high-speed internet efforts help connect you to the wider world. Perfect for people who want stability, steady employment, and neighbors who won't bother you with drama because everyone's too busy surviving winter. Iowa serves up homes at $183,000 in what might be America's best-kept secret for quality of life on a budget. Strong schools, low crime, robust job market, and 75% homeownership prove that sometimes the boring choice is actually the smart choice. A lesson that clearly escaped our friends back in Oklahoma and West Virginia. Drive through Des Moines on a Saturday morning, and you'll see your neighbor teaching his kid to ride a bike in a cul-de-sac that actually has working streetlights. The air smells like fresh-cut grass and that particular Midwestern scent of prosperity mixed with pragmatism. Your mailman knows your name. Your grocery store still bags your items without charging extra. And your biggest traffic jam involves waiting for a school bus to load. The agricultural base provides economic stability, while manufacturing and insurance sectors offer diverse employment opportunities that don't require you to dodge flying debris or explain water quality issues to visitors. The locals have perfected the art of friendly without being nosy. They'll wave at your morning jog and recommend the best corn maze in town. Education rankings consistently place Iowa among the top states, and healthcare access is solid. Des Moines and Cedar Rapids provide cultural amenities and economic opportunities without the pretension of coastal cities or the existential dread of post-industrial decay. Harsh winters and rural depopulation are real challenges, but high broadband coverage and friendly Midwest culture make Iowa surprisingly attractive for remote workers and families. The state's mature economy might not be booming like Tennessee's music scene, but it's stable in ways that feel increasingly rare. Perfect for people who prioritize substance over style, good schools over trendy restaurants, and neighbors who actually know your name without having to check your arrest record first. Landing at number 1, Kansas offers homes at $239,525 in a state that's mastered the art of being quietly competent while everyone else argues about everything else. A stable economy, decent infrastructure, good schools, and low crime rates make Kansas the sensible choice for people who want affordable living without sacrificing civilization or dodging tornadoes quite as frequently as Oklahoma. Step outside your reasonably priced ranch house on a summer evening and you'll hear the distant whistle of a grain elevator. Smell barbecue from 3 houses down, and watch your neighbor finish mowing his lawn in perfectly straight lines. The diversified economy includes aviation, agriculture, manufacturing, and finance, with Wichita serving as a surprisingly robust economic center that still remembers how to function without federal bailouts. The locals have perfected the art of genuine niceness. They'll hold doors, offer unsolicited weather updates, and always know how much casserole to bring to the community potluck. They believe that gas under $3 a gallon is a basic human right. Your neighbor will snow blow your driveway in winter because basic human decency is just standard operating procedure here. Wind energy and business-friendly policies attract companies looking for reliable workforce without the existential crises that plague states like Mississippi or the meteorological warfare of Oklahoma. Education and safety indices beat national averages, and major cities provide quality healthcare and cultural amenities without requiring a second mortgage. Flat terrain and tornado risks are real drawbacks, along with hot summers and cold winters that remind you geography has consequences, though at least the weather here follows recognizable patterns, unlike whatever chaos Arkansas calls climate. Job growth is modest compared to booming coastal markets, But stability has value when other places are experiencing economic whiplash or complete societal breakdown. Kansas wins because it delivers exactly what it promises: affordable living in a functional state without major disasters lurking around every corner. Sometimes the best choice isn't the most exciting one, and sometimes boring beats broken. So there you have it. From Mississippi's economic disaster zone to Kansas's sensible competence. Before you pack your U-Haul for the cheapest state you can find, ask yourself, do you want cheap because it's a good value, or cheap because nobody else wants to live there? Can you handle the trade-offs that come with bargain geography? How much are you willing to sacrifice for a lower cost of living? What do you think? Are we dead wrong about Mississippi's charm, or spot on about Kansas being criminally underrated? Let me know in the comments.